Ohio Free Press. We're here in Chillicothe, Ohio with Coach Dave Daubenmire. Good evening, Coach.
Victor, it's awesome to be down here and be out here fighting for this right to be able to represent the 18th District.
Very good. Hey, I just got some really simple questions. We like to get the candidates the audio and their picture on our website. Okay. Let some people hear, maybe that aren't here tonight, kind of hear who you are and some answers and things. So we're ready.
Let's go.
All right. Some of the candidates describe themselves as Reagan conservatives, constitutionalists, or party line candidates. Where would you classify your beliefs and views to the people listening, and why?
I think I'd call myself a Christian constitutionalist. I think the two documents upon which I believe our republic has been built, it's been certainly the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Bible. When the Pilgrims stepped off the boat, they said to the glory of God and for the advancement of the Christian faith. So I think that the Bible certainly is the first one, and then the Constitution being the other. I think those two are kind of in an odd sort of way, sort of melded together. I come down on the side of maybe being even a libertarian to the point where our God-given rights, government doesn't have the right to supersede over them. However, at the same time, we have to acknowledge God as the Lord, and our rights come from Him. So therefore, we can't violate the laws of God. In other words, libertarian, I would be against abortion because why? Well, it violates the laws of God. I don't know if that made sense, Victor, but that would be my position. I don't think I'm not a Republican, not a Democrat. I tell them I'm a Christocrat.
Very good, a Christocrat.
Yep.
All right. It takes a lot of time, Dave, to run one of these campaigns, a lot of effort. Why would you leave the comforts of your home and family to run for this office, and what gives you the drive and the passion to succeed at doing this thing?
Been talking to my wife?
No.
No. I feel it's my duty. The whole thing came to fruition for me back in August. I slept outside Congressman Zack Space's office for 7 nights back in August, trying to get him to come out and represent the constituents of the 18th District. First Amendment of the Constitution says we have a right to a redress of our grievances, and the way I understand it, Victor, my redress of grievances is Congressman Zack Space, and he would not come out. And I slept outside there for seven nights. We had our own town hall meeting without him, called it an empty space town hall. And then over the last 5 months, I put it away. Never, even at the time, didn't think about running for office. But over the last several months, it's really been eating at me that somebody needs to grab a flag and run up a hill. I'm sick and tired of what's going on in America. I want to fight for my children and grandchildren. So even though I didn't serve in the military, I tell everybody I'm ready to be drafted now.
Very good. All right, I got another tough question for you, Dave. Our President Obama, was once asked, when does life begin? And many people were very surprised at his answer when he said, it's above my pay grade. Now, I had simple high school sex education, and I would probably assume that you had something similar. Can you answer that question?
Well, I don't think it's above my pay grade. First of all, I'm not getting paid, so I guess that's a little bit different. I think it's very, very simple, Victor, but I want to throw a little caveat on it. Life begins at conception and ends at natural death. That's been my position ever since I've come to the knowledge of really to understanding the issue. But I think it's even deeper than that. In the book of Jeremiah, it says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. So evidently, there's something about this life that goes even beyond what we can understand. The book of Genesis says that God made Adam out of the dust of the earth and breathed into Adam the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So if you want to ask me when life begins, I believe it began back when God breathed into Adam the breath of life, and it's been a continuum. Everything about me is a continuum, is part of somebody else who came before me. My father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather. So physical life, your life, my life began, I get at conception, but life itself has been around a lot longer than us.
Very good. Thank you so much. All right, there are many federal laws on the books. Too many for you and I to discuss here tonight. If you're elected, is there one act that you feel must be accomplished in your first term of office, and what would that be, and why would it be important?
Well, there's a couple things. I think the life issue is certainly huge, and we just saw with the recent health bill that went through that now there's federally funded abortions. I would do everything I could to hold up the sanctity of life. To me, that's an issue that I can't get beyond. But our problems are so deep, Victor, beyond just the life issue. When we go back, we begin to try to repeal back government. Everybody has an ox that's going to get gored when you begin to cut those programs. When we look at Social Security, Medicare, all the entitlement programs, if we think that we can continue to spend the way that we have and fund all those and be without jobs, we're greatly deceived. I think one of the things we need to do by cutting government, I have a suggestion that we have, first of all, let's start with our congressmen. Let's get them out of Washington. Let's not pay those guys to go be in Washington all the time. Let's get them back into their districts. Now that we have the internet and the ability of mass communication to be able to communicate through faxes, through emails, get them away from those lobbyists out there who influence so much, bring them into the home district where really mom and pop feel like we can have an opportunity to speak to them. So there's a lot of things that have to happen. We know this. The best government is the government that's closest to you, and I would like to see government in Washington, D.C. become more decentralized. I think that would solve a lot of our financial problems.
All right. The next question, Dave, is there was a House Resolution 257 that was introduced by Representative Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas that could send private citizens to prison if a criminal stole their gun and used it in a crime. Would you support this type of legislation, and why or why not?
Well, first of all, the right to keep and bear arms is a God-given right. Second Amendment, rights of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. But I'm going to come from an entirely different position on that, Victor. We have too many people in prison. We need less people in jail. And one of the things that I would be a proponent of if I would be fortunate enough to be elected is I would like to see some of our criminal justice system, which is a big-time business. A lot of money flows into that. I'd like to a lot of that turn back to the point where there's restitution. If someone gets picked up for a crime, rather than having to go serve time where they are locked up, their family suffers, their children suffer, how about a system where there's restitution, where they pay back the victim as they continue to work and restrictions are put on the community? A lot of the crimes that we see in America right now, people are going to jail for non-violent crimes. We need to take care of the criminals that are violent, but those that are not violent, I think we need to find a better way to be able to do that. I think financially that would help. In regards to the whole thing with guns, I'm a Second Amendment supporter because it's a God-given right. Nobody can take that right away, and certainly not Sheila Jackson Lee.
All right. If you were elected to the position, you'll be required to spend a great deal of time away from your ministry. And the question is basically this, Dave. How are you going to be able to juggle two different things? What's going to happen there?
Well, I think you probably ask that if anybody goes into the office and has their own business, and I don't consider my ministry a business. I consider my ministry what I do. And I would think that if I have the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C., rather than standing up and fighting for the issues that I think are so important, rather than fighting for them in Columbus, Ohio, or fighting for them in Zanesville, Ohio, I'll be fighting for them in Washington, D.C. I'll be like Nathan the prophet who went to King David and said, "You are the man. Speak truth to power." And I've been around long enough, Victor, to understand that I'm no bigwig. I'm just a man of the people. And what happens to so many guys who get elected to office, they go there and they think they're high and mighty and they think they're above everybody else. And I think that we do a lot better off if we have the common man serving in Congress. I don't go there to do a career. I go there to do my duty to God and the country, that old Boy Scout pledge, right? And to obey the law of the pack. That's really what I want to do.
Great. All right. The federal government just passed the health care bill, 3590. What are your thoughts on that, and do you feel it's a good or a bad thing, and why?
In regards to health care, we need health care reform. We need tort reform. We need portability. We need a lot of different things. But the way that they've gone about it, I believe, is not so much about health care, but about government control. Getting control of not only the dollars, but the lives of individuals. Back in 2005, I went down and stood up for the life of Terry Schiavo, the woman they tried to starve to death down in Pinellas County, Florida. And I tried to warn people back then that if we allow the government to kill this handicapped woman, Grandma and Grandpa are going to be next. And what do we see? We see, Victor, death panels. We're talking about that even right now. And so, as I said, life's the big issue for me. Natural birth to natural death, and I would go be a proponent to do all I can to overturn that.
Very good. Dave Daubenmire, one last and final question is really simple. There's a lot of people listening, and we hope that they'll take the time to visit your website, get some more information about you. So what I'd like you to do is tell us how they can find that website or that information and spell it out for them as they're not viewing it and they can't read it. But give us that information.
It's pretty easy. It's CoachDaveForCongress.com. That's pretty simple. All of our information is there. Our platform, CoachDaveForCongress.com.
Very good. That wraps it up with the Ohio Free Press and Coach Dave Daubenmire. Thanks so much, Dave.